I sat quietly on the sofa, with the small suitcase that had accompanied me on many business trips by my side. On the coffee table lay a divorce agreement. The door finally opened, and I heard the voices of my wife, Megan, and my mother-in-law, Helen. They seemed surprised to see me at home at this hour.
Hey, why are you home so early today?
Megan asked casually as she walked straight to the bedroom, leaving an indifferent silhouette behind. Helen, on the other hand, habitually headed to the kitchen, muttering under her breath.
Always just sitting around as soon as you get home. Can't you prepare dinner in advance?
She held a pot lid in one hand while leisurely enjoying a piece of cake with the other, savoring her afternoon tea.
Hurry up and get dinner ready. I'm exhausted from shopping all day, and I need a bath to relax afterward.
She demanded as usual. But this time, I didn't comply as I usually did.
Megan, come here. I need to talk to you.
What's so urgent that it can't wait? I was just about to try on the new clothes I bought.
She complained, dragging her feet reluctantly out of the bedroom.
It's important.
I said, slowly pushing the divorce agreement towards her. The air seemed to freeze at that moment.
Let's get a divorce.
Is it because of Tom? I've told you before, he and I are just friends. It's just business socializing. Do you really have to go this far?
Her defense sounded weak. I leaned back in my chair and closed my eyes gently.
I'm tired. Please, let me go.
Tom, the childhood friend of Megan, was always the ideal son-in-law in Helen's eyes. Even after Megan and I got married, Helen continued to try to sabotage our relationship and push them back together.
Fine, let's get divorced. Megan can be with Tom right away.
Helen said decisively, as I had expected. I opened my wallet and began to take out the cards one by one.
This is the card for the company dividends, this is the utilities card, these are your brand membership cards, and these are the business contacts cards.
Finally, I slowly removed the wedding ring from my finger and gently placed it on the divorce agreement.
And this.
She grabbed the agreement, and the ring fell to the floor, spinning before disappearing into a corner. She tore the agreement into pieces, gritting her teeth.
You wish!
Ignoring her reaction, I picked up my suitcase and headed for the door.
I wish you and Tom a long and happy life together.
I said, leaving my final blessing. Megan's voice suddenly turned sharp.
Stop! If you're really leaving, every piece of clothing you're wearing, which I bought, must stay.
Fine.
I began to take off my clothes one by one, placing them next to the suitcase.
Now, can I go?
With only the last bank card in my phone and my wallet, wearing just thin clothing, I turned and left, bidding farewell to the place that had trapped me for 10 years and ultimately led to my demise. The cold wind, carrying snowflakes, raged outside, chilling me to the bone, yet I felt an indescribable sense of relief. Passers-by cast strange looks at me, seemingly puzzled by my appearance. Suddenly, a warm, heavy coat was draped over my shoulders.
They didn't even leave you with decent clothes?
I was shivering, my teeth chattering, and it wasn't until I sat in the car for a while that my body began to warm up. However, at that moment, John's phone rang abruptly. After answering, Megan's urgent voice pierced through.
John, is James with you?
John turned to look at me and responded briefly.
Yes.
Let me speak to him.
John handed the phone to me.
James, let me explain, everything was just a misunderstanding.
At that moment, memories of the past life flooded my mind. To save my wife's family's struggling business, I had fought countless battles at the dinner table, nearly exhausting myself, and was even diagnosed with stomach cancer. One night, while drunk, I accidentally overheard Megan conspiring with her childhood friend in the room. They discussed how to use me, drain my last bit of value, and then kick me out to take all the assets for themselves. At that moment, a strong sense of resentment and anger surged within me, making me want to confront them, but I was pushed down the stairs by her childhood friend. However, in that desperate moment, a strange force suddenly surged into my body, giving me unprecedented clarity and strength. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the time before I got drunk. This time, I decided not to be a pawn for others to manipulate. I would protect myself in my own way, and those truly worth my efforts.
And the child? Is that part of the misunderstanding too?
The silence on the other end of the line was the best answer. After hanging up, John looked at me with concern.
Are you really not going to tell her anything?
Yes, I'm tired. I've had enough of this kind of life.
All right, since you've made up your mind, as your good friend, I'll always support you.
The salary I had saved over the years was the only asset in my bank card. In the 10 years at the Smith Group, aside from these small savings, I had almost nothing. However, when I was about to check out at the hotel front desk, I was told,
"Your bank card has been frozen."
Hearing this, John was furious and immediately rushed out. I quickly stopped him.
Where are you going?
I'm going to ask those heartless people what you've done to deserve this treatment.
In their eyes, the fact that they were willing to ask me to stay, and I insisted on leaving, is itself a debt. What good would it do to argue further?
After proposing the divorce, I had anticipated that Megan would try to stop me from leaving, even making me give up everything I had gained at the Smith Group. But I never expected she could go this far, even stripping me of the salary I had earned through my hard work.
Come, let's go to my place. I refuse to believe that we can't survive without the Smith family.
I can't burden you.
I don't care about any burden. Today, you must come with me.
Seeing the determination in his eyes, I couldn't argue any further. As expected, the next morning, urgent knocking broke the silence. 2 uniformed officers stood at the door. They showed their badges and spoke sternly.
Mr. Smith, you are reported to be involved in embezzlement. Please cooperate with us for an investigation.
John's eyes were fixed on me, his eyes red and full of concern.
Wait for me, I'll go teach those jerks a lesson.
It's really nothing. You know I didn't do anything. Give me a coat. It seems to be snowing again outside.
John immediately turned around and hurriedly fetched me a thick down jacket.
Don't worry, I can handle this. Don't do anything rash.
All right, come back soon. My mom specifically reminded me to bring you home for dumplings this year.
Got it.
As I was about to leave under the guidance of the officials, John suddenly called out.
James!
I turned back to see him leaning against the wall, a barely noticeable smile on his lips.
Remember, I'll always be your brother. If you face any trouble, I'm always here.
I understand.
As I turned away, the bitterness in my heart almost brought tears to my eyes. John, my college roommate and a local, always invited me to his home for holidays since he knew I was alone in this city. He often joked that his mom liked me more than her own son and kept urging him to bring me home. I knew he just couldn't bear to see me alone. Rough on the outside but delicate on the inside, he was more considerate than anyone else. But because they were so good to me, I couldn't drag them into the storm. Not long after I arrived at the detention center, Megan showed up.
Did you think you could escape my grasp? In just one day, you're back in front of me.
Megan, you already have Tom. Why won't you let me go?
If you promise never to mention divorce again, I can get you out of here today and return all your assets.
Megan, don't push me to despise you.
Even when I discovered her betrayal, I never hated her. I silently waited for her to come back to me. But why, even now, is she so stubborn?
James, unless I'm gone, I will never let go.
For the first time, her gaze sent a chill down my spine. Soon after, another visitor arrived. This time, it was Helen, Claire. Seeing me in this state, she sneered.
At least you have some sense. Megan is about to marry Tom, but we still need to settle the debt you owe our family.
I found her words absurd. Helen was just as annoying as in the past life. After 10 years of dedication, I ended up with nothing, and now I owe them? These 10 years felt like a huge joke.
So tell me, what exactly do I owe you?
My question seemed to hit a nerve.
How dare you ask? If it weren't for you, the Smith Group would have gone public long ago. It's all because of your obstruction that we're stuck.
You heard that from your nephew, didn't you?
Claire's nephew, Michael, returned from overseas 5 years ago and was placed in the Smith Group by her. As soon as he joined, he criticized the company's outdated system and called me a conservative manager holding back the company's development. He advocated for rapid expansion and going public quickly, not realizing that the Smith Group was stable only because of my efforts. I started as an ordinary employee and gradually rose to management in the Smith Group. During that time, Megan's father noticed me and facilitated our union. Initially, I never thought of marrying such a wealthy heiress, but her cheerful and generous nature, radiating the sunshine I longed for, attracted me irresistibly. Unknowingly, I fell deeply for her. Later, we got together, and the burden of the Smith Group fell on my shoulders. Initially, the Sue family business was just an insignificant foreign trade company. But after I took over, I not only expanded the customer base but also successfully introduced various innovative product supply chains. What made me even prouder was that I personally established a dedicated production base, ensuring stable and high-quality supplies. However, due to the company's limited scale at the beginning, it was intricately intertwined with many relatives from both the Sue and Sue families, making it difficult for new members to truly integrate into this big family. It took me 2 whole years to gradually untangle these complex relationships and find the most suitable positions for everyone. Only then did the company steadily develop to its current glory. But then, Michael returned from abroad, eager to prove himself. He instilled ideas into his aunt, accusing me of lacking decisiveness and claiming that the Sue family needed a bold and decisive leader. I couldn't bear to see the foundation I had worked so hard to build be destroyed, nor could I let down the employees I had personally recruited. So, I took measures to suppress his ambitions for 5 years. During these years, in his position as deputy manager of the sales department, he didn't bring in many new clients and even alienated several important ones I had established.
If you hadn't been obstructing Michael's transfer, he would have achieved something by now.
Now that I'm leaving, he has no more obstacles or concerns. He can go all out.
No need for your reminder. Michael is an elite from an overseas business school. How could he not surpass you?
So, Mrs. Sue, what is your purpose here?
She was momentarily speechless, and her reaction made me think.
What about the new product proposal you submitted last month?
I leaned back in my chair.
Didn't you all say the new product was too risky?
3 months ago, I discovered a new product emerging in the market that was more in line with modern young people's lifestyles. I carefully prepared a proposal, but it was opposed by a group led by Michael, who said I was taking the entire company on a risky venture. Yet within a month, this type of product had blossomed everywhere, with numerous companies investing in new product development.
Are you going to hand it over or not?
Sorry, it's been destroyed.
In fact, I had kept that proposal until last week when I finally sent it to the shredder. It was the result of half a month of sleepless nights, in-depth market research, cost control, and future industry trends. Originally, it could have led the Sue family to new heights, but now, none of it mattered anymore.
Fine, if you're so ungrateful, let's see if you can stand on your own without us.
She was about to leave when her phone rang. After answering, Michael's anxious voice came through.
Aunt, the tax authorities are here for an audit.
What did you say?
In the accounting department, where Michael's mother worked, she wasn't a supervisor, but even the manager showed her respect due to their relationship. If any issues were found, his mother would be held accountable, which is why he was so panicked.
Did you do this?
No.
This matter had nothing to do with me, but my departure caused the company's finances to deteriorate due to their internal chaos.
I advise you to handle this quickly, or face the consequences.
None of your business.
I thought this mess had nothing to do with me since those complex financial statements were never under my jurisdiction. Robert, Megan's father, who was always meticulous, personally reviewed the accounts regularly, not to mention Michael's mother, the astute Claire, who oversaw the supervision. However, the calm lasted only 2 days before Michael and Claire returned with a lawyer in a suit.
Explain why things escalated so quickly. The auditors are already here.
Enough, arguing now is pointless.
I looked at the two of them, filled with confusion, not understanding the scheme behind this visit.
The financial issues happened during your tenure, and you were imprisoned for embezzlement. Think carefully, could someone have instructed you to tamper with the accounts?
Absolutely not. I never touched the finances of the Smith Group. All matters were handled personally by Chairman Robert. How could I have had the chance to interfere?
Claire's eyes narrowed slightly at my words.
Think carefully. If you confess now, given your past contributions, the Smith Group might help reduce your sentence. But if you continue to resist, the consequences will be severe.
She then turned to the lawyer behind her.
James, in this situation, what would the legal sentence be?
If the evidence is conclusive, multiple charges combined, at least 7 years of imprisonment.
Fine, let the law decide.
Feeling disheartened, I was about to leave this oppressive atmosphere when a choked voice stopped me. Megan, with red-rimmed eyes and clutching a stack of documents, stumbled into the room.
James, you must give me an explanation. What is going on?
Following her was John, looking equally serious, indicating that this turmoil was far from over.
I told you, don't tell her.
Why not? James, look at these people, do they deserve it?
I volunteered, John. I did it willingly.
Megan threw the documents at me.
Did you plan to keep this from me and face the end alone? Megan, what is going on?
Megan stared at me intently.
Speak. Were you planning to face this alone without telling anyone?
What nonsense are you talking about? Megan, you have Tom now. Why can't you just let me go?
Claire picked up a few medical reports from the floor, quickly scanning them before bursting into laughter.
This is truly poetic justice.
John's temper flared instantly, and he slapped the old lady.
You heartless old woman. If it weren't for the stress caused by your family, James wouldn't have fallen ill at such a young age.
Do you even know?
John. I quickly stopped him.
I've been humiliated enough over the past 10 years. I don't want to lose the last shred of dignity.
Why not say it? James, if you don't tell them, they'll think you took advantage of them.
Stop it, John. I beg you.
Go ahead, I want to hear what earth-shattering things he's done that make you think our family owes him so much.
When my brother first took over your family's business, do you know what the situation was? You don't. Only Robert knew, but he chose to remain silent. James, this fool, worked day and night to improve the business, while you accused him of neglecting the family and not caring about you.
He suddenly turned to Megan.
Neglecting the family? Megan, ask yourself honestly, has he ever forgotten to prepare dinner for you? Even if he had to entertain clients late into the night and couldn't come home, did he ever fail to order takeout for you in advance? And you? Did you ever care about what he ate or drank outside? You knew nothing because you were busy dating and enjoying life with Tom. When he had that severe stomach issue, if I hadn't happened to be there, he might have quietly passed away. And you? Once the company improved, you became arrogant, couldn't stand to see him doing well, and deliberately brought in a useless person to cause trouble just because you thought his life was too smooth. You wanted to go public, why not aim for the stars?
Who are you calling useless?
I'm talking about you. Spending years abroad and thinking you're amazing after eating a few pieces of bread. Your management style is outdated. Do you know why? Because you have to support your poor relatives, including your selfish and useless parents. This fool put in so much effort to keep those people from causing trouble while maintaining harmony. Do you know that? Robert was smart, knowing not to do the dirty work himself, pushing it all onto this fool, making him work hard without any thanks, while you all called him useless every day. Let me tell you, this so-called useless person earns far more wherever he goes than what you give him. Why do you push him like this? Do you want him gone faster? Well, now you've got your wish. This fool is leaving this world. Let's see how long your family can last without him.
John, stop. I closed my eyes, trying to hold back the tears.
Everything about me was ruthlessly exposed to everyone.
Why didn't you mention these things?
I always thought we were a family, and some things didn't need to be said. Besides, saying these things would only add to someone's worries. If I can bear it, why make you all worry too? When we got married, I promised to protect you, love you, and trust each other. I thought we both remembered our vows, but in the end, only I kept them in my heart. Megan, I was too foolish. I don't blame you.
I once truly loved Megan, but I also understood she no longer belonged to me. I once fantasized about having plenty of time for her to change her mind, but time for me was running out.
Megan, you have Tom now. Let me go. I want to spend the rest of my life in peace.
This is really just a misunderstanding.
Before I could respond, John's anger erupted like a volcano.
Misunderstanding? Is it a misunderstanding that you sought out a lover while James was working himself to death? Or is it a misunderstanding that the child you're carrying isn't even Tom's?
Owen's lips curled into a mocking smile.
Megan, you're going too far. After your sweet dates with Tom, you come home to see James, that innocent guy, cooking for you. Don't you feel even a bit guilty? Or do you think he was born to serve you and the entire Megan family?
Egan's face turned extremely ugly, but she still argued.
I thought you had someone else outside.
Chuckled softly.
Never expecting that the reason behind her infidelity would be so absurd. I had been working day and night at the company, sometimes not even having time to eat, never imagining that Megan would suspect me of cheating.
Seeing me laugh, she became more flustered.
I saw a photo of you and another woman standing very close.
Looked up, staring directly at her.
Who gave you that photo?
Egan didn't say explicitly, but her eyes flickered, sneaking a glance at Eichel.
So, she would rather believe a distant cousin than trust me. I was a complete failure. Megan, do you still insist on not getting a divorce? I have nothing left to give you. You already have Tom. Please, let me go.
He bit her lip, but stubbornly said,
Dream on if you want a divorce.
Megan, what is this all about? When we first got married, our relationship was indeed very close, but as I became busier with work, she grew increasingly distant. I understood her dissatisfaction, but she had been pampered since childhood and showed no interest in the company's affairs. I always thought that if I worked hard enough, once the company was more stable, I would have time to spend with her. However, before I could free up enough time, I discovered her betrayal. That time, while dining with a client, I unexpectedly saw Megan and Tom in the same restaurant, with Tom feeding her affectionately. That night's social event left me distracted. Even the other company's CEO noticed my odd behavior, and I had to excuse myself, claiming I had drunk too much. At that time, my stomach condition was severe. Although I hadn't drunk much, the pain was unbearable, so I excused myself to the restroom, only to witness them leaving together, heading towards a hotel. Not long after, I found a pregnancy test. Perhaps my busyness made her think I didn't care about the family, as the use test was casually discarded in the bathroom trash can. But she forgot that I managed everything in the house myself. Not to mention a pregnancy test. I could even remember what she had for lunch. I didn't say much at the time, only blaming myself for neglecting her for too long. Coincidentally, I had planned a project proposal that, if successfully implemented, would elevate the Megan Group to new heights, allowing me more time to spend with her. However, all of this was ruined by their short-sightedness. I once held a glimmer of hope, thinking that after seeing the positive market feedback, I might have a chance to restart the plan. Even if I couldn't get the first pot of gold, I could still gain something. Unfortunately, not long after, I suffered a severe stomach issue due to excessive drinking. If it weren't for John, I might have died on the street. The memories after that are a tangled mess. I followed the doctor's advice and underwent a biopsy, but fate showed no mercy, and the results were not optimistic. The doctor's sympathetic eyes and earnest advice are still vivid in my mind.
With current advancements, the cure rate for this condition has significantly improved. Even late-stage patients can expect a relatively long survival period and decent quality of life.
The doctor's mouth was moving, but it felt like I heard nothing. I knew that once the Megan family learned of my illness, they wouldn't be sad. They would be eager to rid themselves of this burden. The moment I received the diagnosis, I decided to divorce Megan, to cut ties with the Megan family while I could still maintain my dignity. But I didn't expect them to be even more heartless than I imagined. The only surprise was Megan's refusal to divorce. I believed she still had feelings for me and couldn't bear to see me go, but I also understood that her feelings for me had long faded. Since our trust had vanished, why should we make things difficult for each other in this marriage? Megan, let's be straightforward. What will it take for you to agree to a divorce? Megan glanced at Claire without any expression.
As long as you return to the company, resolve all the outstanding issues, and continue to push forward the project you planned for the new product.
In the end, it was all about profit. In these 10 years, I had indeed lost completely. I nodded readily. All right. But they didn't know that the reason I destroyed that new product plan was not out of a moment's anger, but because I understood that once I left, no one could implement that plan, and they might fall into a pit of losses due to not keeping up with the market. The Sue family had no suitable candidate who could withstand the pressure from numerous relatives, have a forward-looking vision, accept new things, and lead the company's future direction. In this light, it was better not to start the new project. Maintaining the status quo could at least allow them to survive a bit longer. But now, since they treated me this way, there was no need to spell things out. After all, seeking one's own downfall is beyond help. Seeing me agree, Claire visibly breathed a sigh of relief. Michael still had a bit of reluctance on his face, but his tense nerves also relaxed a lot. Among everyone present, only John truly cared about me. He suddenly threw a chair against the wall, the chair twisting and deforming from the impact, making a deafening noise.
You bunch of heartless people. I finally understand how you pushed him to the brink step by step. You were simply inhumane. James, I'm telling you today, once you're discharged, you're coming home with me. I'll take care of you when you're sick, and I'll see you off when you pass. From now on, you and the Sue family are completely cut off. You're already so ill, why bother with this divorce and marriage nonsense? Just drag it out with these ingrates and see who can outlast whom.
I smiled at him, his eyes turning red.
John, thank you. You are my lifelong friend. But I can't let you down, nor can I fail those brothers who followed me back then.
I could still hold on for a while, trying to let them find new support. When I left, I had already hinted at the situation, but I didn't expect the Sue family's crisis to come so quickly. The Sue family could fall, but I couldn't let them be implicated. After deciding to return to the Sue family, I quickly regained my freedom. John wanted to continue to stop me, but seeing me released safely, he said no more. He insisted on inviting me to stay at his home, and to ease his worries, I accepted his kindness. While regaining my freedom, my bank card was also reactivated, and Megan even handed me a new card.
Over the years, this is your deserved share of the dividends.
I was about to decline when John had already taken the card.
Why not take what's yours? Besides, living in treatment in the future, which doesn't require expenses. You've given your all to their family for so many years, it's only right to take some compensation.
He had a point, and after thinking it through, I accepted it readily, which slightly surprised Megan. When I stepped into the company again, my old subordinates who had fought alongside me gathered around. Now, they were the backbone of the company, each capable of handling things independently. This moment of reunion felt like time had turned back to the days 7 or 8 years ago when we fought together.
I'm fine, haven't I come back? Everyone, rest assured, as long as I'm here, you can work with peace of mind.
Hearing this, they forced a smile. I could feel they understood my underlying message. If I couldn't hold on, their stability would also be gone, and perhaps leaving would be the best choice. After that day, the company's affairs gradually returned to normal, as if nothing had happened, and business was booming. But only I knew this was just a temporary resurgence. I was waiting for them to find a new path. As time passed, good news kept coming. They were already highly capable, and their business was thriving. Such employees would always be welcomed by any company. Michael regained his usual arrogance, bossing people around in the company. Claire occasionally showed up at the company, smiling as if she was satisfied with everything.
Suddenly, a bank card was slapped onto the table.
Although you and Megan have lost your feelings for each other, your years of contribution cannot be ignored. There's $50,000 in this card. Consider it a token of our concern for your well-being.
Thank you.
I took the card, feeling a sense of relief. If they were willing to give, why shouldn't I accept? Who would refuse money? This was what I deserved. Refusing it would be foolish.
Eyeing my compliance, Claire took out a red invitation.
This is Megan and Tom's engagement invitation. If you're free that day, you're welcome to attend.
I couldn't understand their way of thinking. They were rushing to get engaged before the divorce was finalized and even invited the ex-spouse. They didn't feel embarrassed, but I felt embarrassed for them.
Then I bless Miss Megan and Mr. Tom a long and happy life together.
Having achieved her goal of humiliating me, Claire left satisfied. On Megan's engagement day, I showed up. Accompanying me were my colleagues who had fought alongside me in the company. When we arrived at the gift registration desk, instead of red envelopes, we handed over a dozen resignation letters. Instantly, all eyes were on us like spotlights. After placing those papers symbolizing our break, we didn't step into the hotel but turned and left.
Egan rushed out, her anger making her raise her hand, attempting to slap me.
But this time, I firmly blocked her hand.
James, you heartless man!
She broke down, tears streaming down her face.
Miss Megan, I told you before, I have nothing to do with your family anymore. My departure is a personal choice, and my colleagues made their decisions based on their own will. What right do you have to stand here and accuse me, even trying to hit me?
At this moment, Robert and Claire hurried over.
James, calm down. Everything can be discussed.
When I was willing to communicate, where were you? You only think of negotiation when there's no way out. Sorry, I'm not playing this game anymore.
I resolutely turned and waved at them, bidding farewell forever. After that, Megan tried to contact me several times, but I always avoided her. It was said that they turned to the Tang group for help, but because the engagement was not formally fulfilled, they were politely refused. This change completely overturned the situation.
Let me see James.
James is not feeling well and is not suitable for visitors. Miss Megan, please leave.
Inside, James held the nourishing soup Mrs. Johnson had specially made for him, curled up on the soft sofa, enjoying a rare moment of leisure while a light-hearted variety show played on the TV. Since that engagement party ended in disarray, James' life seemed to have slowed down, fully devoted to self-healing. Mrs. Johnson frequently brought various delicacies, and even John, who used to argue with James, now treated him with utmost care, putting him first in everything.
Encountering such an unlucky thing early in the morning, what bad luck.
As soon as she finished speaking, Mrs. Johnson entered the room with another pot of steaming soup, full of concern. James unconsciously touched his slightly bulging belly. It seemed that under the nourishment of love, he had quietly gained some weight. But doubts filled his mind when his phone rang, bringing unexpected news.
Mr. Smith, we are very sorry, but there was a mistake in the last test report. Your sample was mixed up with another patient's. We will fully compensate for any inconvenience caused.
The moment James hung up the phone, his world seemed to pause, blank.
What happened?
The doctor told me the previous diagnosis was wrong. I only have severe stomach ulcers and acute gastric bleeding. With proper care, I will recover soon.
That's wonderful news!
Indeed, there is nothing better than being able to continue embracing life. In high spirits, James decided to expedite resolving the issues with Megan and end this unsuitable marriage as soon as possible. Finally, on the day of the divorce, the sun was dazzlingly bright.
I heard your stomach cancer diagnosis was a mistake. That's really great news.
And I wish you and Tom a lifetime of happiness together.
Little did James know, this blessing would become a prophecy. Not long after, Megan's family business empire collapsed, quietly taken over by Tom's family. After their team collectively resigned, the Sioux Corporation fell into a talent shortage, and business came to a halt. To make matters worse, family relatives, seeing the impending downfall of the Sioux Corporation, greedily filled their own pockets, and the lower-level employees were full of complaints, leading to a wave of resignations. The Sioux family had hoped that the marriage alliance with the Tang family would be a lifeline, but the tax authorities suddenly arrived, taking Robert and Michael's mother away for investigation. This upheaval threw Megan and Claire into complete disarray, and they begged the Tang family for help. However, the Tang family proposed a condition, the merger of the two companies, with the Tang family taking the lead. This sounded grand, but everyone knew the Tang family was taking advantage of the situation. Facing a dead end, they had no choice but to accept. Although the two were eventually released, the Sioux Corporation's reputation was gone. This turmoil also shattered the family relationship between Claire and Michael. It was said that the argument that day echoed throughout the company. Later, Megan married into the Tang family but faced various difficulties. Rumor had it that Tom's mother despised her for being divorced, especially since she was pregnant before marriage, tarnishing the family's reputation, and spread rumors about her improper behavior.
And that's how the downfall of the Sioux family happened.
James was sipping nourishing soup and updating his resume. Mrs. Johnson insisted he needed proper care, so various nourishing soups were prepared in turn. Though he felt helpless, he was grateful for her care, and her cooking skills were indeed irresistible. John narrated